Hey everyone, welcome to the Smiling Homeschooler Podcast. We're glad you can join us. Before we get going here, we're going to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for helping make the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They've been an amazing partner for many, many years now. And if you are wanting to make a change in your math and haven't used Teaching Textbooks yet, you definitely should. They have family plans, and you can do it from any device that has an internet browser. So go check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. Also, thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As my dad Todd likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritans. So we appreciate their support, and go check them out and support them for what they do for us. So, but all right, so Dad is out of town. He is on his way to Colorado right now, and the Colorado Convention. So if you are at the Colorado Convention this weekend, you should definitely stop by and say hi. He'd love to say hi, and don't forget you can get a free sticker too if you take the homeschool personality test on our website and you get one of the birds. You can come up to us, and no obligation to buy anything else. You can get a free sticker that looks cute on like your mug or whatever you call it, so your Stanley. So you should definitely go do that if you're in the
Stanleys are not the thing anymore, Ben.
I know, whatever. I blanked on the thermos. What do you call it? I know the brand, but is there a name that's like generic?
Yeah, old man hydro jug.
Hydro jug. That is not would not have been in my top five. So, yeah. So we'll get into our topic here, but Rissa, you've been doing something this evening. You found like a newfound passion, I think.
I think I have. Yeah.
Wow.
It would be very surprising, probably what it is, but power washing has become, a little bit of an obsession, kind of like vacuuming is to me.
I was going to say your old found obsession was vacuuming. So
that's still there, but power washing has, so we power washed our deck, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And Ben did most of it, but then I kind of took over. So that kind of spurred this, like, this is so satisfying and it's instant results. Mm-hmm. And just seeing the dirt just go away like in an instant was amazing. So then this evening we had a spot on our big garage building that needed it done. And so I saw that, did that, and then I saw this other spot on the house and did that hole, and then the front and did the steps. It just kept going. So
wow, that's awesome. You can come to my house if you want. It really needs it.
Honestly, I probably would.
Rissa's power washing
side
service.
hustle.
I could probably do that. Yeah. So
that's hilarious.
And Dad actually just texted. He is, I don't know where he is right now, but he pulled over because apparently there's a really bad storm wherever they're driving and a bunch of cars are pulling over and stuff, but hopefully it's passing soon. So I guess if you think about it, you can pray for him. But hopefully he makes it. And then Mom's actually flying out to meet him in a couple days once he gets there. So,
That is somewhere in Nebraska, looks like.
All right. Well, so our topic this week is inspired by all of us parents, which is just tiredness and exhaustion. You know, Rissa and I, it was our anniversary this last weekend. We had a getaway, just a one night deal. And, you know, we're always struck by just how easy it is to do everything, you know, when you don't have, you don't have to unload kids, load them back in the car. You don't have to make sure you've got the diaper bag, and you don't have to change diapers and get them food and all the other stuff, you know? So, it's just always, it's refreshing for one, but then two, it's always just an amazing thing to be without your kids. So I thought we'd just talk about and try to encourage the moms who are just exhausted and tired, which I think both of you can relate to and are probably feeling right now, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I feel like, exhausted and tired for since Ellis was born, probably, which is almost 3. So it's definitely a hard season. It's hard to be the wife and the mom and the friend that you want to be when you feel like you're running on empty. It's a hard season. I feel like, I don't know, for me, people always say like, get your hormones checked, do all the things. And we kind of like, we did all the things and nothing really showed up. It's still just exhausted all the time. So, yeah. And then the listeners probably didn't know this, but we are expecting our third baby. And so that like, I thought I was already tired, and then that like was a whole nother level. So thankfully we're in the second trimester. Things are feeling a little bit more leveled out fatigue wise. But yeah, it is hard showing up for your kids when you feel like you just want to go back to bed. And yeah, it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look even good most days, but kind of just struggle through it. I don't know, Riss, do you feel like you're always tired?
I think so. I think it's just like who I've come since, like kind of what you said, since Ellis was born. I think moms, we're all just giving it our all day, every day. So it's not a surprise that we would be tired. But definitely in pregnancy too, that's a whole other level because I remember just like being on the floor and then like opening my eyes and I was like, oh, was I just asleep for a second?
What happened? Yeah.
What just happened? So yeah.
And I don't think it's just necessarily only lack of sleep, because that is part of it for sure. But it's also just there's the mental weight of everything, and having to care for everyone, and you're just being pulled 1,000 directions, and people are asking questions nonstop, and you have kids begging for things or whatever it may be. There's so much responsibility, and every mom knows this. Every mom has been through just the toil and the depths of it all, and I think that's it can be a really tough place, to feel like you're even have a handle on anything, which is okay. You're not always going to feel like that, and I think that's definitely important. And you're also not alone. It seems like every mom out there, every parent out there, feels exhausted at some point, if not all the time. But I guess, what has helped, or what have you done and have you found to still take a breath, try to remind yourself of where you're at, and that, to still keep pushing through? What have been some of the helpful things as a mom, for you over the years? And either one of you can go.
I feel like I was just thinking today, I think it's easier to identify the things that aren't helpful. I feel like I really notice like the comparison struggle really like raises its head when you feel exhausted and depleted, because you start to look around and see all the other moms, whether it's on social media or just friends, that you're not seeing the whole picture, and you just think, man, their house is clean, they've got it together. I bet their laundry pile isn't as big as mine. I bet they got up at 5 a.m. and worked out this morning, like this random mom on Instagram. And I just think that it's so poisonous, but it really, I think, sneaks in even more so when you're already feeling discouraged, or you already feel like, this looks so easy for this mom. They're running circles around me while I'm just trying to get my kids fed, and I don't know. I think that's something that's I gotta like guard against more in those seasons, because it just sneaks in lots of your thoughts quickly.
Well, before we continue on that, Riss, and we talk more topics, I think that's a really important thing just to talk about. Just the whole this, like, what it does to our minds with social media and phones. And we've talked about this and briefly talked about some past episodes. But I just finished the book, and I think I mentioned this last week, but The Anxious Generation, which if you haven't read it, highly recommend it, especially, as we have kids growing up and stuff. It's not from a Christian standpoint. I don't agree with everything in the book. But I think his research on just the effects, especially on women, but of social media and then smartphone usage is just kind of just really eye-opening. And obviously we already kind of, I think, intuitively know it, but especially just the whole, your mind feeling fractured, and just the the weight of comparing yourself to other people, but having all of this stuff just inundate you all day long. It can really take you away and just split your focus, so you feel like you just can never have your mind. And I just don't, I felt that. I know Rissa's felt that. We've talked about that over the course of, even just our getaway, of like how much it really does affect her. And just how, you can be just doing your day, and then you have 6 different texts from different people. And it's like, those don't even really matter to the day to day, but it really can just take over and interrupt and just really affect you. So I guess just thoughts on that, risk, because I know you've obviously been thinking about that a lot over the last little while, just the effect that has had. And do you feel like that plays into your exhaustion or your ability to focus over the last years as a mom?
Yeah, I feel like too, I was gonna say, just with the season that I've had the last year, just with the healing I've been going through with, just, we talked about it on past episodes, but my mind has felt just very full outside of just mothering and parenting. So then you add all the other things, the elements too, and yeah, my mind is just, can easily just feel like exhausted. And I'm like, my mind's here, my mind's there, my mind's there. Okay, what's actually in front of me? You're just pulled so many different ways. And some, yeah, I mean, that is just life. But I do think we have, we can control some of the things that we choose to allow into our days. And it's hard, but I started the book that Ben just talked about, and I had to put it down several times as I was trying to read it today, but so I didn't get very far. I'm only like in the introduction, but I wanted to just like put my phone away and just be like, okay, no, like the way he did the statistics, and just he's just explaining how it just really affects you. So yeah, I'm excited, like I'm interested to keep going through it, and we'll see.
I would say if that is something that's like a struggle, I do feel like it would be worth picking up, just because I think it does kind of help you to really think through kind of some of the true effects. Because I do think it can be easy when you're just feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, just want to kind of jump into something that's easy, quick, gives you a little bit of a hit, of like feeling good, you think, but then it really often leads to something more negative, even though in the moment it might feel like a quick escape. Kat, do you feel like the escapism part ever from anything, not even just smartphones, but do you feel that draw in the midst of everything you're going through, or do you feel like you're able to stay kind of in the present?
Well, I was going to say, I feel like it is, at least for me, and I don't know if other moms are wired this way, but when I'm exhausted, I find myself on my phone more.
Right.
Not because it's fulfilling, but because it feels mindless, or not even on your phone. It could be watching a show at night. But when Josh and I are exhausted, like, we're not sitting down and having good conversations. We're like, okay, let's turn on a show and then we're going to bed. And I think it's harder to be intentional with anything. I mean, we were talking about like first trimester pregnancy, nutrition is so important, but I'm like, I don't want to eat anything and I don't want to cook anything. So how do you balance that when you're supposed to be doing the good things, but you don't have the energy to be doing the good things? And I think your spouse can be hugely helpful in that, or your friends, maybe it's your mom friends, helping to hold you accountable. But I do think there are probably going to be seasons of that, because sometimes if you're in a state of total exhaustion or total depletion, it can feel like another thing, another thing I have to change, or another thing I have to fix, which can feel like even more pressure versus kind of acknowledging it and I don't know, like whether it's praying about it or just taking little steps, to move towards that, because I think, yeah, we all know we don't feel better after we, what do they call it? Doom scroll, on your phone or whatever. You don't feel better, but how could we, how can I replace that for a little bit? Maybe I'm not cutting out all of social media. Maybe I'm just picking up a good book, or like just replacing it with smaller things that do feel fulfilling, because I feel like, yeah, when you're in the moment, it can just feel so daunting. Like I don't have the energy to read the book about the phone or to go get the healthy food. Like I just don't have the energy. And so I think you can do it in little bite-sized pieces. It feels a little bit more doable.
I heard someone say, and I don't know if this is a woman thing or just for guys, but I thought it was very interesting. He said a lot of times what people will do is they would rather have something completed than actually be doing the thing, so like when it comes to like a book, people would rather have read it than they actually want to read it, if that makes sense. So, and then that kind of translates into for like family and work and things that you're having to do. A lot of times it's when you're in it, you're just wanting to be doing something else. Like, it's like your mind is like, well, I know I should be doing this, but I have a million other things I need to be doing, or I also want to be doing. And that can just feel like then your mind is just fractured and you're not really able to enjoy the thing that you're actually doing, which is this amazing time with our kids that we have that is so fleeting, so short. So his suggestion, and again, I don't know if this is a lady thing, but I thought for me, this was really, I hadn't really thought about it in this way, but he's like, just set yourself of like, okay, I don't have to do this all day, maybe, or maybe I do, but I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to think about all the other things I have to do. If I'm not going to do all those things right now, and I'm just going to be reading a book with my kids right now, this next 30 minutes, that is the only thing I feel like I need to do right now. And just really focusing on the present of this is what I actually do want to do. And then just, kind of letting it rest as that. And then the other things can come as they come. But right at this moment, that's what my focus is. Because I think it can be just daunting if you just have this massive list of things that just is constantly fighting for attention. And obviously your kids aren't going to let you just be that focused. And I get that, if you're like, hey, I got to cook dinner and a kid's screaming for help, you can't do that in that situation. But understanding that maybe today I'm not going to get the laundry done, and then just putting that aside and saying I'm not going to do the laundry today, and being okay with that mess then for the rest of that day, as opposed to feeling like you're failing all day because you can't do the laundry today, if that makes sense. So I don't know, maybe it's totally blue sky, whatever. But I thought it was a interesting way to think about it, because I definitely feel that huge list of items kind of deal that's just constantly looming.
Yeah, not really related to the list part, but when you were talking about like you'd rather be basically on the other side of it than in it, I think that is really hard to remember, but so important to remember in those seasons, whether it's little kids or a health issue or pregnancy or whatever that season is, or even just stress or a job change. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stressors and a lot of things that can make you feel like I just want to be on the other side of it. But Josh and I kind of walked through a really hard season last year, and it was, I don't know, I think the perspective that helped me the most was like, it's okay for things to feel hard for a while. Like, I don't think we think of all the growth that happens on the other side, but the growth really just happens in the journey, in the walking, in the hard. And I think sometimes we're so quick to want to be on the other side of it that we almost like resist it more even than we need to, like we talked about, like, are we okay with it just being hard? Like, are we okay with that just being the season we are in and just making the most of it and finding gratitude in the midst of it? Or are we just so frustrated that it's not easier, that we're missing out on some of the good in this season? Hard to remember in the moment, but you can look back and see it in other seasons. It's just in the current season, it's hard to see.
It is. But real quick here,
like
go ahead, Rissa, and then we'll do it at a commercial after that.
Some of the most like beautiful things come out of hard seasons, but it is really challenging when you're in the thick of it to remember that. And just as you were saying, Kat, like, when we get to this spot, or when we get to this spot, I've been thinking often now that Renly is, she'll be 10 in February, and I've thought I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. But just like, I used to, and I still do in some ways with like the boys, because we still have young boys. But like for her, it's like, oh, well, when she, when she's potty trained, or when she's doing this, and that will be, your mind kind of wants to move forward. And now I'm realizing things that she doesn't do anymore. Like she doesn't play anymore, and I want that back, like, not that I wish those specific things away. Not that, but just like that time where it's like, oh man, like you just, so that just made me think of that. And just as our kids get older, oh man, it's
it is moving. It moves quickly, and you can't pull it back. So, I mean, but it is so hard in the midst of it. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. But we do want to say, again, thank you to Teaching Textbooks for supporting what we do and making the Smiling Homeschooler possible. Go support them. You can check out a free trial. Tell them that we sent you. And if you ever have any questions or anything that you aren't sure about, or would just like to talk to someone, they have awesome customer support, and they're just an amazing company. So go check them out at teachingtextbooks.com. And again, thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As my dad Todd likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries. And you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. But yeah, so kind of again, building off that. So in the midst of the dark times, in the midst of the exhaustion, and I do think that a couple just, quick things that is, you may have to say no to things. There may be times and seasons where you just have to be more ruthless in terms of cutting out stuff, or saying, unfortunately, we can't do that right now. I just have to sleep more, or whatever that may be. And that can be tough, especially for certain types of personalities. That's way harder than others. If you're a people pleaser, if you're a people person, or if you're a serving person, we have those around us. And that has been something that we've seen through, their life, of having to just be very committed to saying no when they normally would say yes to everything. There was something else I was going to say off that, but I just blanked on what it was. But I think it's so easy to build a bunch of stuff up, and then you just leave yourself no room. Were you going to say something, Kevin?
Well, I think that's back to the culture of like that busyness, or even for me feeling like, everyone else is doing these things. Like the reality is everyone's capacity is different. Oftentimes, if you feel like you can't make it through the day, or your body is like for me, I would feel like I would crash at 10 a.m. and I would just feel like I had nothing left. Usually that is your body trying to get your attention and saying something is not right. And sometimes you get answers, sometimes you don't, but we don't often make things better by just ignoring it and pushing through it, which is totally our culture. Like, doesn't matter how tired you are, how stressed you are, you just gotta, crank things out. And I don't know, I think there's wisdom in like simplifying, and like Ben said, just saying no and letting your schedule be a little slower, or letting your summer be a little more boring if that's what you need. Because chances are, if you are feeling more rested, your kids are going to be feeling like, the home is happier, and they're probably happier too because mom is, or dad.
Yeah. And I think, for Rissa, we've seen it, but sometimes you just have to and this can be hard, again, depending on your personality type, but just to ask for help. A lot of people don't want to have to do that, or, it feels like that is just putting someone else out, or whatever it may be. But it really does matter. There's times where people have come over and cleaned our house before, or maybe it is like a meal train. If you have, asking if you've got people, and even your church, even if you don't have a ton of close friends, you might be able to ask your church and say, hey, is there any way I could get some help? And they could maybe find some people. There are some options out there. Hopefully you have a close friend group, or a mother-in-law, or a mom, or a sister, or whoever. But I know it's tough to do it alone, and hopefully your husband, is there alongside you with you. But obviously, if you're in the thick of it, it can feel like completely isolated and just all by yourself. But I don't necessarily think that is true. I think part of, I think just depression and sadness, and even is Satan's lies are that I should just be on my own, separated from everyone else when I'm feeling the worst, and totally get the draw, but that is not necessarily the true way out of it, is just to pull yourself away, even if it is difficult. But Rissa, anything you want to say to that, and how that's been for you over the last few, year?
Yeah. When I think back to kind of when I was in the thickest part of what this last year has been, the meal train that was set up for me in that time is something I think about first. One of the first things I think about in that time, and just how meaningful that was. It was not even a thought in my mind, but it was like, hey, we're going to do this for you guys. These meals are taken care of you this week, or taken care of for you this week. And that just really meant so much. And there were days, many, many days, that I literally could not take care of my kids on my own. Like, Ben would go to work and I needed help. And I'm so thankful for the support and the help that we have. But I struggled too. Like, I was both, I knew I wasn't able to in those days, but also I felt bad that I wasn't, like, I can't even take care of my
kids. It's so hard to accept the help. Yeah. Not just to ask for it, but to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I it was like that battle, but I tried to look at the bigger picture of, okay, this is just right now. This isn't going to be forever. And Ben would have to remind me, this isn't going to be forever, a hard season. Even though when you're in it, it feels like this forever. Could be forever. Like, is this just normal for us now? And if it is, that feels so daunting, but it's crazy how just even, how I've been feeling better the last month and two. Yeah, I can easily go back there, but it's feeling more distant, and you do just grow through it. And yeah, like I said earlier, like, some of the most beautiful things have come out of that. And so yeah, it's hard to remember when you're literally standing in the middle of it. Like, I was not thinking that at all.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Lord's gracious, and he doesn't leave us in those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, I think.
Well, and really, I was thinking, go ahead.
Really key there too is, and this is something that every believer needs to preach to themselves, and we're preaching to ourselves here, saying to ourselves is, I mean, Rissa, the amount of just having to grow in her relationship with Christ through all of this it's tough. Like, being in the Word is so critical. I'm not, I don't enough. Everyone probably, doesn't feel like they get to enough. And that's always something that a lot of people want to do more. But I really believe in it. And I really believe that it does have effect, because God has said it has effect. So we need to be doing that, even though it is so tough. But I think, Rissa, for you, like, journaling and reading and getting in God's Word, like, consistently really made a huge impact on you over the last year. Even though, again, it's hard to find the time, but for you, it was even like changing your routine some for a little while there, where it was like in the morning you would often wake up, get on your phone and just immediately start not feeling good, and it was like, okay, I'm going to get up with me instead. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to journal some, and just kind of changing up the routine really helped for a little while. Doesn't necessarily help immediately with like tiredness, but just the exhaustion, mental exhaustion, I think was more of that than just like physically, didn't have enough sleep. So yeah. But Kat, what were you going to say?
Well, I'm going to change what I was going to say, because I was thinking about this morning, and I don't know whether it'll be helpful for anyone else, but it was helpful for me. Because I was saying, like, I think the, comparison is harder when you're in a season of exhaustion, which for me, when I'm exhausted, it usually makes me feel discouraged, because I like look around. Yeah, my house is a mess. Our meals are not fancy, and I just feel so discouraged. And so I was thinking, like, just kind of mentally dealing with, like, well, am I just being lazy? Like, should I just be able to get it done like every other mom gets it done? Should I just be able to make the healthy meal even though I feel exhausted or whatever? And I was thinking, like, okay, what's the difference between like conviction versus condemnation? Because obviously the Lord does not condemn us. That's what Satan's doing. And I was like, well, how do you know the difference? Because it's a good thing. Like, obviously taking care of your kids and getting your house clean, and like, those are good things. And so I was thinking, like, okay, what, like,
one
the
of those
voices
is
that
than the other, by the way.
But the voices, I'm just saying,
yeah, totally.
that is a role that God's given us as moms and as wives, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, that can feel like a big part of your role. Made me lose my train of thought. Anyway, so I was thinking, okay, so if Satan is the one condemning us, like, whose voices are those thoughts coming in? Is it coming in as, scripture telling us to be, taking care of our children and our husbands? And I was thinking, no, it's all the voices of, whether it's social media or other people, not other people actually saying it to me, but feeling like, this pressure from my friends or whoever else. And was just realizing, like, it's like these other exterior voices making me feel like I'm not doing enough. That's not the Lord. I think the Lord is the one saying, this is enough. Loving me is enough. Loving your kids is enough. Loving your husband is enough. And I don't know, that was just helpful for me to be able to kind of identify, like, yes, these are good things, but these aren't the best thing. Even like how Jesus says that to Martha, like, Mary's chosen the best thing. And sometimes, some days you feel more like Martha, just doing all the things you got to do. And maybe there are days like that. I don't know. But yeah, I just felt like that was a good perspective change for me.
And I mean, as a husband, I mean, the biggest thing I feel like for me through all of it was just, I don't want Rissa or any mom listening to this to lose hope, because I do believe that it will pass. It is so difficult in the midst of it. It was difficult for me in a different way, maybe. I mean, I mentally and physically, I was also tired, but I get that I'm not, with the kids every day, but these times do pass, and that there is hope on the other side, that even in the midst of the exhaustion, these are good times, and we don't, as much as it's so hard to remember it in the midst of it, we don't want to waste it. We don't want to wish it away, because it is really good. That's the whole Dad's Book, family is hard, but good. I mean, it is just so difficult, but it is the things that matter so much in life. And I'm so thankful that, we get to go through this and be parents, even though, half the time we're losing it or frustrated. Or this evening we had one of our sons was absolutely losing it over not getting us, to do something he wanted to do, and you're just like, this is so annoying, but we wouldn't obviously want to have him not here or have him be grown up already at this point. So I just we pray for all of you that that you don't lose hope, that you keep on going, doing what you can, is right. You have this amazing gift that you get to be with your children. Homeschooling, I think, is just such an amazing part of that we all get to partake in, and something that we've gained so much time with our kids that otherwise would be lost to others. So I think, remembering all those things, plugging away at it, understanding that sometimes it's just not going to be as good as other times, that the exhaustion will end someday when you die, will hopefully help you smile.
Hey, Dad said he's not tired every night anymore. Well, he is right now because he's traveling, but true. He said they're not tired as much anymore. So,
okay.
There you go. 30 more years.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said the other day. I was like, I just feel like every day I'm just so exhausted. But I was like, what do I even do about it? He's like, I don't know. It just eventually goes away. So anyways, but again, thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making this all possible and for helping homeschoolers smile during math time. Our family uses it. I used it. Kat used it, I believe. And you should definitely check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. We really believe believe in what their curriculum is, and I think your family will really like it. Also, again, thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As my dad likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share. But all right, everyone, have a great week. Don't forget to smile, and we'll see you next week.